I don't know if this is too risky to say, but I also fell back in love with my religion. And I know I'm going to get the comments of, where's your hijab? And how dare you talk about religion if you're not like 100% perfect on everything? But guess what, guys? I'm here and I'm talking about it.
How many years have you been doing this now? Public figure.
I would say at least 10 years.
10 years,
yeah.
And you're not comfortable.
I think the audience has also changed a lot as well. My audience has grown with me. But I think when I first started, there was a bit of backlash. And that kind of stayed with me. So I always think those are the more predominant people. That's what the opinion is. But I think now as I go along, I've realized that the smallest minds come with the biggest mouths. And I shouldn't let those opinions stop me, because when I go out and I interact with people and I see how people react to me and the hundreds, if not thousands of nice messages I get, I have to train myself and remind myself, don't focus on the negative ones. They're just a minority.
Did you have people that maybe didn't believe in you, that didn't think you'd make something out of yourself?
I love it. I enjoy it. I would rather be underestimated than overestimated. But if you look at it, everything's a blessing. I have this ultimate conviction that everything happens for me, not to me.
جديد. اكسر الروتين مع أطباقنا الجديدة من بيتزا هات جدة. بيتزا هات جدة، ذوق طعم الثقة معنا.
How many years have you been doing this now? Public figure.
I would say at least 10 years.
10 years,
yeah.
And you're not comfortable.
I think the audience has also changed a lot as well. My audience has grown with me. But I think when I first started, there was a bit of backlash. And that kind of stayed with me. So I always think those are the more predominant people. That's what the opinion is. But I think now as I go along, I've realized that the smallest minds come with the biggest mouths. And I shouldn't let those opinions stop me, because when I go out and I interact with people and I see how people react to me and the hundreds, if not thousands of nice messages I get, I have to train myself and remind myself, don't focus on the negative ones. They're just a minority. But yeah.
We're moving beyond. Using our past to propel. Sharing our culture. Nature, heritage, hospitality, progress. With the rest of the world, welcome to our future. Welcome to Saudia, built on big ideas and a passion for change, inspired by heritage and progress, made by dreams and determination. We exemplify it all. Come find your place in it. With it, with us. Our future starts now. Saudia. This is how we fly.
Let's kick off with a low-hanging fruit of a question. If I was to ask you what your favorite thing about yourself is, we're quick to always say what we don't like about ourselves.
Yeah.
For me, I hated that I was overweight for the longest time. Still want to lose a few more kilos. I didn't like how maybe I speak when I'm not supposed to, or speak without thinking. This podcast has taught me how to shut up and listen, believe it or not, even though I've done more speaking so far than you have. But we're not quick to ask ourselves, what do we like about ourselves?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, what do you like about yourself? I want to say, what is your favorite thing about yourself?
My tenacity. I'm very tenacious. I will not give up. I will adjust. I feel like I've not mastered it yet, but I feel like I've learned to use all of my emotions, good and bad, to fuel ultimately a good purpose. So I have something like, I'm very stubborn. I'm extremely stubborn. And I've realized that, once you get to a certain point in your life and you look at the habits and the patterns and the behaviors, you can't keep on offloading onto other people. At some point, you have to look at yourself. That stubbornness has got me so far, but then it started crippling me. So I readjusted and used that stubbornness for something in a good area of my life. Now, if I want a deal or if I want an agreement or I want to do something work-related, I'm not going to budge. I'm not going to, I'm not going to be flexible with my morals. I'm not going to compromise on what I want to shoot. I'm not going to, just read the script like you guys want me to do. I'm going to put my foot down. And I think that came with using or learning to manipulate, such a negative word, but let's say mold or make my emotions malleable to be able to be used for something good. So I'm tenacious. I would say that's one thing about myself.
Where do you think it stems from?
Wanting to prove something, either to myself or other people. Something, wanting to prove something.
I ask because you're reminding me of myself. I feel that I have been written off by many people who meant a lot to me in my family. So when you say that you are out there to prove people wrong, I just want to know, are you coming from the same place that I came from or not? Did you have people that maybe didn't believe in you, that didn't think you'd make something out of yourself?
Oh, I would say the majority of people. I would say the majority of people thought that, but the people that really knew me knew I would need to find some sort of purpose. They just didn't know what it would be. And I think I've come to enjoy people underestimating me. It's now something that I like. Now when I walk into a meeting and they're like, oh, but she's a girl. Like, she doesn't know. She's a fitness influencer. And then we walk in there and we're talking about, all the things that we need to discuss down to every single detail. And people are like, oh, I love it. I enjoy it. I would rather be underestimated than overestimated, for sure.
It's a good place to be in, actually. People not expecting anything of you, and then you shut them up with your work.
People don't expect me to talk Arabic.
I didn't.
Yeah.
The guy, we're talking just before we started rolling, the guy in Jeddah airport, when he said Saudis here only, didn't.
It's like, this line only for Saudis. It's like, طيب. And I showed him my passport and he's like, والله أنا مصدوم. I was like, أنا كل يوم أشتغل هنا في المطار. أنا ما أكيد انصدمت زي كذا.
That's the thing. I mean, he's seen it all, and for him to still think. Is it healthy though to continuously wanna live in a way where we're proving people wrong?
I don't think it's healthy to be stagnant in anything. Whether it's your mindset or how you move your body or the places you go to, I think expanding and having variety and opening up your mind and your surroundings and your environment is very, very important. I think we should be in a constant state of learning and a constant state of seeking knowledge and a constant yearning for improvement, and also earning that improvement as well, not just jumping into it or taking a shortcut. I would say to a certain degree, those feelings are helpful, but then they do turn against you. You're going to burn out quickly, which is why I was saying the thing about, you're going to exert this much energy being angry anyway. So am I going to exert the energy going and sabotaging myself and proving those people right? Because that's not what I want ultimately. Or am I going to use that energy, funnel it into something else, put myself in tunnel vision, enhance and kind of develop myself. And then as a cherry on top, when you bump into those people, you're like, hey, but it's not the driver anymore. It's not the motivator. The motivator is just being the best version of yourself.
Are you confident?
Yeah.
Did you have to build to it, or did you always have a bit of confidence in your DNA growing up?
I decided it.
You decided it.
Yeah, it's a decision.
You woke up one day and you said, I'm going to be confident.
Exactly that.
Fake it till you make it?
Not fake it, but rebrand it. So do I need to have a tiny waist and, this car and, look this way and travel to these places to be confident? Do I have to be or fit into this stereotype or this image of what beauty is to be confident? Do I need to have makeup on? Do I need to do all of these things? No, I do it because I want to. The confidence is there. The core is there. Everything else is just a bonus. So I think if you believe that confidence comes from within and your confidence is built on and stems from something that you always possess, then you can always tap into it. But if your confidence is external, then it will come and go.
Well put. Elevator pitch, 60-second, 90-second elevator pitch, and someone asking you, what is it that you do? I mean, we do so many things today, right? We wear so many hats.
What
someone
is it
said,
I do?
hi, my name's Jim. What's your name? My name's Hana. Hana, what do you do? What do you do?
I flutter through life. I flutter through life and try and spread knowledge and education. What do? I take care of myself. And I like to be an example for people how to overcome things and how to just kind of like be at peace with themselves and feel confident within their skin. And to also understand that, mental health and physical health is very heavily tied in together. I would say more than anything, I strive to be an example. That would be my number one thing. I strive to be an example. That's what I do. I try to be a living example. What I do currently in terms of work is I would probably say I'm a fitness enthusiast. I post gym content, health-related content. I like spreading knowledge about physical education and mental health being for everyone, and just kind of like remove the stigma and the stereotype about it.
What stigma are you alluding to exactly?
I would say stigma and mentality. I would say, first of all, the shortcut mentality and stigma and the whole, I can achieve the same goals or results, by going to a doctor or surgeon and then training, number one. Or number two, the stigma of, you have to look a certain way to be pretty. You have to look a certain way to be strong. You have to build your body in a certain way. Everyone should be copy-paste. Just the lack of authenticity in this whole movement that we've got going on for people being copy-paste and being afraid to be themselves. That's what I would like.
Side note, is it just me or are plastic surgery operations at an all-time high? They are. It's not just because, we're seeing it on Instagram, so we're just seeing more of it.
No.
It's like with news, apparently, things going wrong, natural disasters, they're at the same rate as they were 500 years ago, but we only hear about it more because there's more touch points, there's notifications.
Yeah.
With plastic surgery, are we at an all-time high?
I would say yes. And I would say that is tied into the lack of confidence. I feel like luckily here our society is actually quite different when we compare it to the Western world. We're not forced as many stereotypes and just, images of things forced upon us. But I do feel like in the Western world, and we are affected by the Western world, I feel like there's just a mentality of like, let's just go get it done. Let's just go to a doctor. Let's, all look copy paste. Why do I need to do this? Why do I need to do that? And I think there is a lack of confidence because, society is changing. What we're exposed to growing up is changing. What we're absorbing as a humanity, as a society is changing. So I think there is a direct correlation between the confidence in in societies and also plastic surgery.
There's the element of shortcuts. Does that bother you?
Yes.
Especially now with Manjaro and this Ozempic business coming online. Do people realize that we don't know what kind of health implications will come from that in years to come? It scares the shit out of me.
The thing is, I would never say I'm completely against something. I think there's exceptions for every rule. But I don't think that, I think it's neglect. I think we take our bodies for granted. We run them into the ground. We put them through years and years of bad habits. And then we want to come and take a magical needle just to make everything better and just think like, oh, okay, that's it. Well, I've lost the weight. Okay, cool. Now you've got saggy skin. So what are you going to do now? oh, so the doctor's going to now tell you to go to the gym. Okay, so why don't you just go from the beginning?
Yeah.
You've injected something into your body. You don't know what the repercussions are. You don't know what the side effects are. The drug hasn't been tested for that long. It's been tested for other things, but not for what you're using it for. And we just get into a vicious cycle of constantly trying to fix side effects of things rather than fixing the root cause.
Is it a patience issue?
I would think so. Patience, and I'm going to sound very geeky, but I would say it's patience and a society that lacks dopamine. I think we have a serious lack of dopamine because we're getting it from scrolling our phones and, however many options we have when we're going out. And even things like silly things, like when I was younger, I remember having a couple of pairs of trousers and wearing them until like there was no way of wearing them anymore, like styling them with different things. Now it's like, oh, I've got an outing. I need a new outfit. Why do I need a new outfit every outing? And sometimes we have to catch ourselves and be like, hey, like what, like we no longer have the sense of earning and reward. So our dopamine is all over the place. And again, we can't see that going on inside of our bodies. We're not cars. We don't have gauges. We don't have dashboards. Sometimes even if we do, people don't want to listen to them anyway. So in my opinion, I think that's what it's related to.
In 2025, have you found yourself?
Oh God, I keep finding myself and then she evades me every time. She's like, oh, I thought I was this person, but now I'm someone new. But it's fun. I get to rediscover myself all the time. I think I found my core values. I found who I fundamentally am, but I haven't found my tweaks. And or they're forever changing, which I'm not mad at, by the way. Like I know my big fundamental rules. I know those. Yeah.
But you do notice a different person every couple of years.
Yeah. Luckily, I would hate to be stagnant. If I was the same person that I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I don't think it would, I definitely wouldn't be the same. I don't think I would be where I am.
You don't want to be the same person you were yesterday to some degree.
No. I mean, no, yesterday's version was okay. She was all right. She got a gym session in, so we're happy with that.
It's amazing. I didn't go today or yesterday. It's amazing how I think 80% of a person's problems can be solved with a 60-minute hard workout where you're barely walking out of the gym. 80% of your problems can be solved with that.
I agree with you.
Under-discussed.
I don't even think it needs to be 60 minutes. I think that is also a part of the stigma as well.
You're
like
right.
People think, oh, I need to be in the gym, 5 days a week, or 2-hour-long sessions. I need to be doing this. I need to be doing that. It's like, no, just slow down. You don't need to do everything at once. If drinking 3 liters of water and hitting your protein intake and, doing some cardio and seeing some sunlight and grounding and standing on the floor, on the ground, or if all of these things at once are too much, and let's not forget cutting out carbs and not having any sugar and I'm not having any caffeine, all of these things at once, you're going to burn out.
Yeah.
Be nice to yourself. A part of this whole instant gratification and lack of patience, it's like we also inflict it on ourselves as well. And then we're kind of like, we've got no one to blame. We are creating the rules. We are also implementing them. So we have a job to kind of go, hold on a second, let me challenge this thought. Where has this come from? Where have I picked this up along the way? Why am I implementing this? Is this actually good for me? Is it healthy for me to binge watch a series and sit there? Is it healthy for me not to be social and not to go out? Is it okay for my sleeping pattern to be like this? Like, what am I doing? Or am I just going to say, I'm depressed? What are you doing?
About it.
Yeah, what are you giving yourself? You're not nice to yourself. You're not kind to yourself. People aren't kind to themselves anymore.
Do you journal?
Yes and no. I visual journal. That's how I started my Instagram. So it's like visual reminders to me. I have PTSD, or I have CPTSD actually. And visual reminders are actually really good for me. And having things to look forward to are actually quite, I'd say, healthy for me. It keeps me looking forward rather than looking back. So visual for me works better than words, but I journal my goals and aspirations. I don't daily journal. I journal my goals.
Very helpful, isn't it?
Yes.
There's nothing more satisfying than putting a line through something that's done.
I've got all my different lists. I'm very organized with those types of things.
Organization is the difference between a successful person and one who isn't.
Yeah.
Having that checklist, holding yourself accountable. Because, having a plan really is everything. And I've learned the hard way.
Yeah.
I saw what life was like when I didn't have a plan. And I ate shit. Yeah.
Was there a changing moment for you?
Yeah, actually. When I stepped out of the corporate world into this, and I didn't want to go back to corporate. And in order for me not to go back, this has to succeed.
Okay.
So I had to hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't, then I didn't want to spend another 13 years in an area that, for me, as far as the chemistry was concerned, I needed to be in an environment where I can flex my creativity skills. And I couldn't there. And I can here.
Yep.
And I love it here, but I have to have a plan. Like, we need to know who are our next 3, 4, 5 guests.
Yes.
They can't all be from the fitness world. We got to mix it up. We got to have a strategy. I got to improve. I got to know when to shut up. I need to shut up right now.
It's okay. You're just answering a question.
Childhood fond memories?
And
we'll go to a commercial break.
I will be honest. Yes and no. I think I had a very interesting childhood. I think most of my childhood I was a bit confused and wanting to fit in. But then when I asked my sisters so my sisters are older than me by 10, 8, and 6 years. And I asked my sisters, like, what was I like when I was younger? And they were like, oh my God, you were questioning everything. You were just so brave and ballsy and you didn't care. And I'm like, oh, because that's kind of how I feel like my inner child wants me to be, but I'm kind of suppressing her. And then when I am that way and I question things, I feel like the real me. So it made a lot of sense. But I have 3 sisters. We're 4 girls. I grew up in the UK. I was born in the UK. I stayed there till I was 10 years old. So at that point, I didn't speak Arabic. Nothing. I knew nothing.
Up until the age of 10, you didn't speak Arabic?
No.
It's a friggin' tough language to pick up at the age of 11.
I mean, I could say like, اديني شوكولاتة, Baba, اديني فلوس. I knew how to say the important things. But yeah, at the age of 10, I moved to Saudi with my dad. So my parents got divorced. I moved to Saudi. I stayed with my dad from the age of 10 to 21.
Jeddah?
Jeddah, yes. I went to school here in Jeddah as well. But throughout those years, my life took a very big turn because I went from living with my mom and my sisters and my dad to having like a very busy, hectic household to moving to Saudi, a country where I wasn't familiar with, the culture or the language even, and we're talking like what?
98.
Yeah, like 98, 99, around then. So very different Saudi at that time. And I only moved here with my dad. So on top of the culture change and the school change and my friends, I was no longer with my mom. I was no longer with my sisters. And
all your sisters stayed in the UK?
They all stayed in the UK. And it was 11 years until I saw them again. Yeah.
How long did it take for you to get acclimatized, if you ever did?
I don't remember when it happened. And I think it happened more when I came back to Saudi like 3 years ago. I was like, this feels like home. And despite me not being born here and despite me like, having just like an emotionally turbulent adolescence or teenage years, I had a lot of bad memories and I had very many associations. And so coming back here and having that overwhelming feeling of, oh, this is home, I was like, oh, like I was quite shocked with myself. So I think I got more adjusted the second time back. But I remember when I moved to Saudi the first time when I was like 10 or 11, and they just used to make fun of my British accent. Bottle of water. And I'm like, oh God, like. And then when I was 21 and I went back to the UK, I had like a crazy messed up American accent. And my mom was like, pardon? Like, what? Like, what is it's like vase or vase or mascara? Like, what's going on? Like, you're half British, and I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, so it was like culture shocks back and forth. And it was interesting. It was very character building.
Did you feel that you didn't know where you belonged?
Yes. Until I decided that I belonged everywhere.
It's a good approach.
Yeah. But what, like, why not? So why, like...
That's less taxing on the mind.
Yeah. I mean, there are some things we can't change, and I think our energy is better spent on things that we can change and control. And no matter what I do, I can't change the fact that I'm half Saudi, half British.
Yeah.
I can't change these things. Like, so if I'm not fitting in, maybe I just wasn't meant to.
Did you experience hazing, bullying, unkindness at school?
Oh, I wasn't the best of students. I was very naughty.
Join the club?
Yeah, I was...
D- all the way?
My grades weren't that bad, but I was naughty. Like, I was mischievous.
What did you do that was so naughty?
I didn't study for an exam, so I kind of like super glued the light switches off, because then I thought I couldn't take the exam. But then she made me take it in the hush, so like the playground in the scorching heat, and I was like, ah! But yeah, it was fun. I kind of just got along with everyone.
The naughty ones make a lot of friends.
Yeah.
The ringleaders.
Yeah, I didn't mind. Like, I didn't mind getting in trouble. I think I could get in trouble more at school than I could at home. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is my little outlet, and that's kind of what it was. But I don't particularly remember like being bullied to the extent that other people were. I got, the whole, Ajnabiya, Zarafa, عندك إرسال فوق, all of this stuff. It's okay. Models at all. Anyway, so I got all of that. I would say also in England, like, it was the other way around. It was like, well, you're not fully white, but then you're not black. You're not the Asian that they would know. And I was like, yeah, I'm half Arab. And they're like, what? And then obviously I got, the names, TikTok, backpack, bomb squad, but it was all in like lighthearted gist. But yeah.
At least your name goes both ways.
I mean, there you go.
They took care of you with that.
TikTok, they just spoke it into existence for me.
Yeah. I'm sure it built character. You mentioned tenacity, one of the first things of this conversation. Yeah. I think, being culturally ambidextrous has built character for you more than the next person who was just from one place.
Yeah.
Heard it all. You've been through the trenches. You're battle striped. I think it did more good for you than harm, no?
I hope so. And I feel like even now there are things that I go through and I'm like, well, I couldn't really be doing what I'm doing now if I didn't come to Saudi. As bad as it sounds, like, my parents got divorced. I didn't see my mum for 11 years. And, obviously as heartbreaking as it was, within that 11 years, the goodness that did come out of it is I learned another culture. I learned more about my religion. I learned more about the other 50% that I am. I came here, I educated myself on the culture and things around me, blah, blah, blah. And now when I talk to Saudi girls and I'm talking to them about fitness education, I can talk to them as one of them. I have the same diet as you guys. I live in the same climate. I hear the same chit chat. I'm exposed to the same trends. I'm not just someone foreign talking to you going, hey guys, do this. I'm not that. I'm your example. I'm your proof that it can be done. I'm never your competition. I'm always your proof that it can be done. And if I did it, you will do it, and you will do it better than me.
It's so important for the next generation.
Yeah.
Who are multicultural.
Yeah. Like, what I'm doing now, I'm hoping it's nothing in comparison to what future generations will be doing. I know, like, we talk a lot about like Gen Z and like even the younger generation coming out now, but I think they're amazing. I think they're going to do insane things.
He's Gen Z.
Hey, little mama.
More like mum, or you more like dad?
Oh.
So funny because they come from different worlds.
Yeah, I would say I have the stubbornness of my mom. I have the work ethic of my mom.
What's your favorite thing about her?
My mom? Everything.
Come on.
I love everything about her. Her cakes.
It's her cakes.
My mom, if you can hear me, I would like to cash in on that chocolate log cake now.
Get me in on that
yes,
too.
Listen, the chocolate log cake is the whole thing. It's like a whole thing in my family. But I promise at some point I'll bring you a piece to try. But my mom, I think her work ethic, she is also very tenacious. She does not give up. She's like, even when COVID happened, she was like, oh, your generation is so precious. I'm going to go to work. She hears this impression of me, she'll absolutely murder me.
We have to send her the link to this episode.
I'm hoping no one shows her this, but she probably will see it. But yeah, she was just like, you know, if something happens to me, something happens to me. Like she's like, if I stay at home and I don't do anything and I don't help people, that's when something will happen to me. She's like, I can't sit here and do nothing. And I feel like I got that from her.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah. And from my dad, I would definitely say my dad's, he's very creative. He thinks out of the box. Allah yarhamu, he thought out of the box. He wasn't your typical Saudi Arab dad. He wasn't that. He was creative. He had a music studio. He made music. You know, he did many things. And he did a vast plethora of things. But the one thing he did always do is he always made me feel really, really beautiful. Like he made me feel really pretty from the inside out. Like he would always build up my confidence. He may have done a few things like to break it down himself, but like he would never let anyone make me feel a certain type of way. He was very like, I am your shield. I am here kind of thing. Yeah.
That's the kind of father I want to be to my daughter.
Inshallah.
You know,
Inshallah.
Where you really make her believe that she can be, because boys will be boys, the oldest saying in the book. But you can see a girl today that didn't have her father by her side. You can see it in her personality. It'll ooze out of her.
Yeah.
She'll be very clingy too, because she didn't have that. There was a void. But I can tell you had your dad by your side the whole way. It's inspiring to hear. Send us a picture of him so we can put it up on the screen, so we can pray for him. You said you lost him a year ago. Allah yarhamu. I lost my dad 20 years ago, and I still think it was one of the hardest things I've ever been through.
Allah yarhamu. It's hard. It's like losing a parent is, you just, I don't know, like I felt like a void.
Yeah.
And you don't expect to feel it. Like you think like, oh, you know, it's a normal part of life, or, you know, they're getting old, or they're this, or they're that. And you're just like, oh, nothing can prepare you for it. And regardless of the type of relationship you have, regardless, there's still going to be something there.
How old was he?
So he was born in 48. So I would say 77.
7.
Yeah. 76, 77. Yeah. Yeah, he was creative. He was eccentric. He was out of the box. He was many things, but he was my father, you know, and we had a challenging relationship at times. And I don't know when I would be completely okay to share like the extent of everything. But I do know my dad and my parents, both of them, you know, with all of their shortcomings and all of their mistakes, they are the biggest reason why I am the way I am. And I'm happy with who I am, and I wouldn't change it. Yeah.
I always feel how tough marriage is, even when you marry someone from your culture, from your city, hell, from your neighborhood. I see some of my cousins who are married to non-Saudis, and I just sit there in the corner and I think to myself, I don't know how you guys do it, because you come from completely different worlds. You know, what is important to her is not important to you. Religion coming into that.
Yep.
Marriage is already tough. So to spice it up with cross-cultural marriage, I tip my hat to anyone who makes it work.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. I think being like dual heritage, dual culture, and then obviously my parents are also different religions. It's just, it used to be very like, oh, okay, like where do I fit in? Now everything is kind of just more like a metric. You know, alhamdulillah, I'm Muslim. I'm a practicing Muslim, and that is what I identify with. But it doesn't mean I'm going to be disrespectful to somebody else because they have different beliefs, because that's also not what my religion teaches me. That's not what my religion tells me to do. But if anything, it gives you a bigger range to choose from. You know, like having an emotional parent or someone that's a little less emotional, you know, you have the whole spectrum. You can choose from, you know, acting like one parent in a situation that requires you to have like calm nerves and less emotions, and you can pull from that parent. And then you have the more affectionate parent that, you know, in times of need where you need to lean on that affection and be more, you know, caring, you have that example as well. If both your parents were the same, we'd only have the same information to pull from. But if you look at it, everything's a blessing. I have this ultimate conviction that everything happens for me, not to me.
I love that quote.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey, I think, said it. Yeah. Life happens to you, not for you. Would you change anything that you've been through? Or do you see everything as a blessing that fell into place for you?
I mean, I do get sad. Like sometimes I feel like I'm playing catch up.
With?
Just with life. I feel like it wasn't until maybe last year or the year before when I slowed down and I was like, hey, I'm actually doing quite good. You know, like I set out a goal, I set out a map, I'm on trajectory. I've actually exceeded the expectations of what I wanted to do, blah, 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 blah. Like, why am I so eager for more? In the same breath, I don't want the hunger to go away, but I want to be satisfied as I aim for better things. I don't want to feel like empty or feel like I've got a void inside me until I attain those things. Like I want to be happy and then it will come to me. But I do obviously, like, I would just say maybe the time apart from my mom and my sisters, although that probably shaped my personality the most, I have a bit of FOMO, like, you know.
Many people would be surprised that you chose to come here and live here and base yourself in Saudi and not in England. Although at the same time, there'd be a lot of people who'd say, yeah, but you know what? England these days, opportunity isn't there like it used to be. Saudi Arabia, lots of eyeballs on there. There's a lot you said no to and left behind in the UK, and you put yourself in Saudi. Opportunities, love. What made you choose here than there?
I think when I came here for the first time and I went into one of the gyms here, and this girl just came up to me. She's like, Hana? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, she just threw herself around me. And she was like, she was so authentically sincere and emotional. She was just like crying and she was like, I can't believe I'm seeing you in front of me and you don't know what like your training did for me. And she's like, I was going to go crazy in lockdown and you really helped me through it and my mental health and she's like, I'm so sorry and I'm taking it. And I was like, babe, like, this was probably hands down one of the best interactions that I've had in my life. I'm just sat there in my apartment in the UK recording videos, recording workouts. I don't know who sees them.
Yeah.
You know, I get a few comments here or there. I definitely get a mean comment here or there, but having someone come up to you and saying like something that you're doing has affected their life, and the something that you're doing is actually something that everyone should already be doing.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, wow, like how far away are we from like what we need to be doing? Like our factory settings are so off as humans. Like we're so far away from what we need to be doing, and we're so normalized. We're so accustomed to it. So I think when I came back, that interaction with that girl really, really affected me. And she was like, we need you here. Like, you know, like she was like, you know, the West have got so many people. You know, they've got like an abundance of people teaching them. And they've got so many people teaching, you know, talking to them in English. And like, we don't have someone to represent us, or we don't have someone to like to talk to us, or we don't. And I was just like, okay. So I started coming like for a week and leaving. And then I started coming for 2 weeks, and then I started coming for a month, and then I started coming for like longer and longer. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me just, you know, let me stay. Let me set up base here. You know, like but I still, you know, I still live abroad. I don't fully live here. Yeah, I'm just in complete denial. But now, obviously, I live here full time.
I still live abroad.
I'm still in denial. I have a problem. I live in denial. But yeah, it felt like the right thing to do. It just felt like the right thing to do. And I got to an age where I was also like, I don't know if this is too risky to say, but I also fell back in love with my religion. And I know I'm going to get the comments of, where's your hijab? And how dare you talk about religion if you're not like 100% perfect on everything? But guess what, guys? I'm here and I'm talking about it. Like, I fell back in love with my religion, even basic things, small things, just التعامل, دين تعامل, how we're treating people. And just, I found everything I needed to find in it. And I found it was easier to practice while I was in a Muslim country as well. Added that with obviously the sun. We love the sun. And just feeling like it was the right thing to do. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And I used to be that person. I was like, I'm going to raise my kids in the UK. I need the open-mindedness and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I would never. I would never. I'm not sending my kids to school worrying about them getting stabbed on the way there over a fake jacket. It's not going to be me. So I just, everything, the elements of safety, everything here. And one big deciding factor as well for me is that how shocked everyone was when I was Saudi from both sides. So the foreigners and the Saudis. And I was like, hey, hold on, maybe this is like my in here. This is my niche.
USP.
Yeah, this is what I can use to my advantage here. So let me go over there and and talk to everyone in English and in their tongue with no accent, with this, with that. And let me, I want to quote the guy that you had on your show that I said to you, let me be the substance. Let me be an ambassador of substance. We know about the glitz and glam. We know about, the oil jokes and the camel jokes and all of that. But we don't know about, the millennials and the Gen Zs and, even the older generations and the younger ones, who are trailblazers in our countries, who are starting new things, who are actually challenging big corporate companies with great local brands and great local products. And, and you know what? We actually do it in an even more chilled way as well. It frustrates me so much sometimes how chilled people are here. But if you really want to look at it, they have a better work-life balance than most people do.
Switzerland takes the cake, by the way. I was there for a week. They work 5 hours a day. It's brilliant.
See,
yeah, and they still feel like they're overworked.
But
who am I to say how one of the best countries in the world does it?
But also, when you love what you work, it's not work.
Yeah.
Right now, like, do you feel like you're working now?
Absolutely not.
There you go. And it's the same for me. Like, who would have ever thought in a million years I'm going to go to the gym, do something I'm doing anyway, something that I love, and then I'm going to post it, and I'm going to make a business out of that, and people are actually going to know me for that. That's mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing.
It's
how lucky, huh?
Exactly. It's astronomical. Like, who would have thought? My sisters used to make fun of me, like, oh my God, you take so many pictures. And I'm like, look at me now. Yeah.
Religion and practicing it, when you started praying your 5, did you feel like a different human being?
Yes, but it took me a long time. So I did this is the thing, I did a gradual build up to getting to 5 prayers. The same approach that I had with training and everything. I couldn't do everything all at once. It was a lot. It was like, oh my God, and if I don't if I do 4 prayers and then I miss one and then I feel like I'm a terrible person and just let me do what I can and I will strive to do more. Well, inshallah, God's going to make it easier for me. And that's what happened. Like, it just got easier and easier and easier. And I'm like, oh, so this is the peace people talk about. Like, this is the inner calm. This is the kind of serenity. And I like it. And since I started, I haven't stopped. Like, not a day's gone by where I've stopped. So
it's almost like if you forget to do 1 or 2, I don't know if you get the same feeling, but the feeling when you forget something or you forgot where you put something, you have this burning thing inside of you. What is it? What was that thing that I had to do that I forgot? Yeah. Is it to call that person? Is it to do this? Is it to find my watch? And I'm so happy that I'm at a place now in life where if I haven't prayed my 5 and there's one that I forgot, my body tells me, by the way, you forgot to do prayer 3 or prayer 4.
Yeah.
And I think when you get those internal notifications, you know you're on the right track.
It was also a rebranding. I think that like there's a theme for me. Like I need to rebrand things in order for me to make them digestible and understandable. I'm a very logical person. I like to understand why I'm doing something. So as I was learning more and more, I was learning about like, the power of your mind and how your body works and, what your body requires and, standing in certain positions and, and touching the ground or, and I'm like, hold on a second. These very fundamental movements are in prayers.
Yeah.
Grounding, we're touching the ground. Okay. Also in prayers, repetition, the power of the word, the power of your tongue, giving gratitude. So modern day society is calling it what? Meditation. Hold on a second. We've been doing this for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So
yoga,
everything, like, the prayers give you a structure to your day. Like, I get to section my day out better now. So in between prayers, I'm doing this. Yeah. Once this prayer happens, I know that I'm doing something else. Yeah. But it was like, I think I saw a clip on YouTube on social media. And it was this woman saying like, if you have a text message from someone and you don't like, and it's from someone that you love and you can no longer kind of like talk to directly or get a hold of, you're going to protect that text message. You're not going to delete it. And even if the phone expires, like, or there's a new model, you're not going to throw the phone away, And she's like, that's how I look at the Quran. I don't call it the Quran. I call it like Kalam Rabbi. And I was like, oh. And then she's like, she said something about prayer as well. And I was like, oh. And she was like, imagine you get to have a one-on-one exclusive meeting with the most powerful person ever, not person, obviously. And you get to ask for whatever you want. And I was like, wow. Like, so I no longer saw it as, oh my God, I'm scared. I have to do this. Because that's what I was raised on. I was raised on a lot of fear. Now I want to do things from a place of love. So Anna, I want to pray because I want to say how grateful I am. I want to pray because I want to connect. I want to pray because I want to have that one-on-one time with God. I want to pray because ultimately it's the right thing to do as well. It's no longer, I want to pray because I'm scared that if I don't do it, this will happen.
Yeah. Imagine when we have a meeting with a CEO or someone super high up in a company. We're going to be there half an hour early. We're going to wear our best 3-piece suits. We're going to be shaved. We're going to smell good. We're going to have we're going to be ready for it.
Yeah.
And that's for the world, and the world has an expiry date. I love the dua that Sheikh Abdurrahman Sides from Mecca, Imam Mecca, he always says, dear God, don't allow our life to be our biggest concern. لا تجعل حياتنا أكثر همنا.
Yeah.
I think همنا is concern or interest.
Yeah.
And there were days where I'd focus on younger days where life was my biggest concern. But life is a fleeting moment.
Yep.
In 10, 20, 70, max 100 years, it's over. And the only thing that is forever is the afterlife. We
prepare for something and we don't necessarily know what we're preparing for.
Yeah.
But why not be on the safer side of things? And we're already seeing, even scientifically, these things are good for us. It's the whole like, the last study, like, scientifically proven men shouldn't really wear gold. Okay, well, it's kind of all there. So I just think,
is that true? Is men?
Yeah,
it says in the Quran.
There was
or hadith.
So it's still religious context.
Yes,
but it's something that we've been practicing for years and years. But now it's only just been caught on to like in the Western world or in the media or like. But they're obviously doing it for scientific reasons, whereas it was there with religious explanations from before. Yeah.
How anybody can have metal touching their skin, whenever my watch moves and I feel it, I'm like, but like a ring or a necklace or earrings, I'm just so not about the ice for men.
I'm a girl, I won't complain.
That's fine. You guys, it looks good on you guys. Doesn't on us. Discipline and motivation. Does it come easy to you? Where do you find it?
So I would say it stems from fear of being average. I have a serious fear of being average, but not average in comparison to other people. Average in comparison to my capabilities and my abilities. I don't want to get like to the age of 70 and be like, oh my God, when I was 30, I wish I was doing this. I wish I figured out or I wish I kind of prepared my body. I have like that genuine fear of just being average and never shifting into like the next gear. So that kind of motivates me. But discipline, again, is a decision. So whether I have motivation or I don't have motivation, I have discipline. But then I also have the fine line of I need to listen to my body when my body is talking to me and telling me that I'm overtraining and doing too much or I need to rest, even if it doesn't make sense. Or am I listening to the voice in my head that's allowing me a way out? So as long as I'm differentiating between the two, then I'm fine. So I do take my days where I'm like, you know what, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to force myself. But 9 times out of 10, it will be the voice in my head telling me, oh, come on, you don't need to. You look okay. Like, you don't need to try and go with it. And I'm like, no, I need to. Yeah.
The easiest person you can lie to is yourself.
The person we lie to the most is ourselves.
Yeah. It's crazy how our minds are professional at lying to ourselves. It's almost like, obviously the body is designed to keep you alive and it'll do its best to keep you alive. And maybe feeding you information that isn't true is a coping mechanism to stay alive. Kind of like affirmations, like positivity, that, you know, you're great, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that. I notice it with myself so many times that I lie to myself. I'm like, wait, 1 second. And I try to catch it these days. Wait, that's not true. No, I did gain 3 kilos, and the reason why I didn't get on the scale for the past week is because I know I gained 3 kilos. So don't stop telling me that I didn't gain 3 kilos. I get on the scales, and guess what?
Gain 3 kilos.
Gain 3 kilos.
Yeah, might be water weight. I'm trying to help here. Let's be kind to ourselves. But that being said, I hope you go to the gym tomorrow.
Yes, no, 10:45. I have it with my guy Falah.
Okay,
100%.
perfect.
What have you been better in the last 2 or 3 years post-COVID era? What have you been better at saying no to?
Oh, so I came up with a new thing. I don't say no out of fear, and I don't say yes out of pressure. So that is my new rule. Because I used to automatically say no to things, and I just like, okay, hold a second. Why am I saying no? Because it's a bit out of my comfort zone, because, you know, it might be cold weather. I don't like the cold. But, you know, then I haven't skied. So I think I'm learning to tune into the reason first. And with no, I think I say no to things that just don't sit well with me. I just don't want to. Like, I take who I am in very high regards. And I think, especially on social media, like on social media, for example, like we've all done, you know, the waist trainer adverts or the this or the that, like, and it's kind of like the entry level stuff where, like, you know, you're like, oh, I could use the money and I want to take it, you know, but there is good things about it, but you know, it might help someone. Now I'm like, no. If I don't believe in it, if it doesn't represent my brand, if it conflicts with my morals, I'm not doing it. It's not happening.
Bravo.
Yeah.
What about food, relationship with food? Are you good at saying no to it?
It loves me and I love it. It loves me and I love it.
Stress eating is the subject that I have written down here. Something that I want to talk to you about is stress eating. I'm trying to be better at it. Is that something that you, when you get stressed, what do you resort to? Is food one of the things?
So yes, I'm an emotional eater for sure. But I have different emotions. Like if I'm like a 1 to 7 upset, I'll eat. If I'm a 7 to 10, I won't eat. So there's levels to it.
Yeah.
But again, it's all like, okay, I'm trying to distract myself from something. I'm trying to just kind of throw a bit of noise, give myself temporary satisfaction, temporary hit of dopamine, you know, just let me just get something in there. And we all do it. And then we feel terrible about the next day.
Worst.
It's just one of those things, like you wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I ate that.
Yeah.
Why did I eat that? But we're all there, like we've all done it. But again, do you want to wake up the next day and be upset about it and be angry at yourself about it? Or do you want to just be like, okay, well, I've done that. Let me go to the gym. You know, there's things that we can change and things that we can't. Now, I'm not saying that's leeway for you just to constantly keep on doing things and say, whoopsie. No, because that's not accountable. You're not holding yourself accountable. And then you're going to create habits, and God knows what those habits are going to do to your health as well. But I am saying we have leeway. We are kind to ourselves. But ultimately, what I tend to lean on most in times of confusion is, does this thing, this decision, this action, whether it's eating something, doing something, going somewhere, saying something, whatever, does this take me closer or further from who I want to be? And that's the answer for everything.
Great friggin' way to live your life.
Yeah.
Is what I'm doing today getting me closer or further to my goals?
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be today. It can be like a simple action.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't want to go to the gym. I'm tired. But you know, I said I wanted to be that person. I said I wanted to be healthy. I said I wanted to have energy for my kids. You know, and someone who says these things, future kids, by the way, just to clarify.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
No. And if I say that I'm going to do these things, then the only difference between me doing them and saying them is me actually just doing them. Just do it.
It's the things you do every day that matter.
Yeah, totally.
You know, I remember I went 2 weeks with going black coffee and no milk. I dropped that 3 kilos.
There you go.
It's the things you do every day, the repetition. Those are the really important things.
Yeah. But it's, again, something else we learned from prayer. Repetition.
Yes.
And something I learned from training is delayed gratification. So there's a reason why I'm doing things. You know, repetition does actually bring around results. And just learning to really dig into your strengths and dig a lot deeper, like the transitional skill sets that you can learn from training, which is why I would encourage everyone to train. You don't have to do the same type of training. You have to move your body, train it in some way. The transitional skill sets that you get from that and that you can take over to the rest of the areas of your life are game changers. Literally game changers. And if people just leaned into doing that a little bit more, we would solve, you know, the shortcut mentality. We wouldn't have that anymore. If people understood the benefits from it, they'd do it. But I also don't think the benefits are that widely spread.
Because the life we're living today is designed to make us move less.
Yeah.
If you think 100 years ago, how far people used to travel to get their meal. Hell, 30 years ago, we used to walk to restaurants. Today, we walk to our door. Tomorrow, is someone going to come feed us?
If that, we send someone down to get the food for us. We barely even walk to our own doors. You know?
I'm convinced that, you know, in a couple of years, there's going to be some app that feeds you. But see, like hunter-gatherer days, there was a lot more movement. You know, you're moving around all day, so you can hunt for what you're going to have for dinner.
Yeah.
By the time you're eating, you know, you've clocked 30,000 steps. You're famished.
And you're eating food that's probably containing loads of microplastics.
Yeah.
Loads of chemicals, loads of God knows what. You know, it's just fast demand, high demand, fast service. We're just going around and around in circles. And again, just like slow down.
Processed.
Yeah. Like we're eating processed food and we're not processing our feelings. Like we could just process the feelings a bit more. I think we'd be okay.
On the subject of processed foods, last meal on earth, what are you having? What's your favorite meal? I want to see, are you going to go to the Arab side? Are you going to go to the British side? Are you going to say shepherd's pie? Are you going to say mandi?
I love me like some shawaya chicken. رز بخاري وشواية ومع سمبوسة ودقس حط فوق الليمون وبصل.
I applaud you. That's my second favorite.
Oh.
After the goat, over the same thing you said.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I'm a carnivore.
Okay.
But a good shawaya with exactly what you just said. You know, when these Brits, since you know you're half Brit, when they come here, when they come here for the first time, they are shocked. You know, outside of, you know, oh my God, it's so safe here.
Yeah. Everyone's so nice.
They're also shocked as to how good the food is here.
Yeah.
Because, flavors that you're getting at Mahal Shawaya or a Mandi house is something that they're very unfamiliar with.
We have good food, by the way. Our food quality standard in Saudi Arabia is actually amazing. Like you could walk into the smallest place or the biggest restaurant and the consistency of food quality, I've seen nothing like it.
The municipality are on these people's back.
Okay.
Oh, I have friends in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
Every couple of days, there's someone there
Okay.
undercover or an official.
Nice.
They take it very seriously.
Okay.
Cleanliness of interesting stat from the fast food restaurants. I know that because my family business has one.
Yeah.
They're in the fast food game. Number one on the list, I was very pleasantly surprised to see that my favorite
Al-Bak.
is number one on cleanliness.
Like, oh, you love this.
Yeah, the number one cleanliest kitchen.
Yeah. I can believe that. I can very easily believe that.
Do you ever dabble from time to time?
With Al-Bak?
Al-Bak?
Oh my God, like 2 days ago.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Truth comes out.
Oh yeah, listen. This is when I realized I was definitely Saudi. I was like, listen. I remember like when I was like, في حد جاي من السعودية طب بالله أحد بس يجيب لي مع البك. And then, you know, like when you go on the airplane and you are
Trips
that
me out when
person.
you speak Arabic.
Like, what is it?
Sorry, airplane.
It's okay. I will be that person on the airplane. I'm feeling like, okay, we haven't taken off yet. I'm putting the seat down, like, you know, like the little thingy, like bring it out from the side. And like, you know.
Oh, you do that, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm eating on the plane. You can all smell my garlic.
You legend.
You may not have any, but you can definitely smell it.
I was in school, university, finished up university in the UAE for 4 years. And this was 2005-06. Every flight I go back, the Emiratis are taking bags until they opened in Dubai 10 years ago or so. But I mean, I've seen people take it to London as well. This franchise.
I have terrible friends apparently. And ما كان يوصل لي. Like I would just get like the paper bit and be like, okay.
Shawarma too. Shawarmas are phenomenal.
Yes.
Some good ones in town.
Yes.
But you had me at Bukhari. Damn, I'm hungry.
Food is always a good subject. Food is always great.
And I really love what my friend Mayada Badr, who heads the Culinary Arts Commission. I love that MOC put together a culinary art commission. Because when there's Taste in London, that food event that's in not Hyde Park, the other park north of London.
Kensington?
No. The one just south of St. John's Wood. Big park. What's it called, guys? Come on. Regent's Park.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Regent's Park.
Yep.
Taste, it goes there where you have stalls from every country. Her and her team are there creating dishes, kleja, mantu, like all these, you know, Saudi dishes. So you have Brits who couldn't even tell you where Saudi is on a map.
Yeah.
But they're sipping dates and Saudi coffee and having dishes from Saudi. Yeah. Our first interaction with any culture. I mean, have you had Chinese food before you've been to China? Of course not. You've had the Chinese food first. But I mean, that wasn't even a thing. The Culinary Arts Commission wasn't even an entity. And MOC launched that a few years back.
Yep.
How cool, right?
The changes that have been happening over the last few years have been outstanding.
Where do you look?
I can't keep up. It's like, I remember like 5 years ago, me saying to people like, oh yeah, Saudi. And they're like, Saudi? You mean Dubai? I'm like, no. Like Saudi, like, huh?
Having a laugh.
Yeah, they're like, is it near Jordan? And I'm like, how do you guys not know where Saudi Arabia is? Like it was just like really like what? Yeah. And now when I go back, or somebody speaks to me like, oh, so you know that event going on in Saudi? And I'm like, yeah. So do you think you can? No. So what? No. Like it's just the shift. Oh my God.
Shift.
Yeah. But I like it because I think people are just surprised. I think number one, I don't think people realize how nice Saudi people are. And I'm not saying this because I'm half Saudi. Like obviously I'm a bit biased, but like I've never had anyone come here, and I bring my friends from the UK here all the time. Like I have one friend, she's probably been to Saudi more times than I actually have been. And she's just like, I never knew it was like this. Like when we didn't know, nobody knew. Like the media did not portray us in a good way. They had fun with us, you know, and they banked on our, I want to say, discretion and our love of intimacy, and they actually used it against us. But now I feel like, okay, truth is kind of coming out now.
This is exactly why I started this podcast.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was false representation.
Yeah.
Lying through their teeth. Some people aren't comfortable with your rise. Some people feel that your rise could be their demise.
Yes. Oh, some people also feel uncomfortable around you because what you're doing in your life contrasts to them, the lack of what they're not doing.
It's an insecurity.
Yeah. And I think it's so sad. It's so sad. And I think if people just learnt to be accountable and understand the link between blame and accountability, but then also control. When someone hears accountability, they're like, I'm not wrong. I'm not to blame. And I'm like, we're not blaming.
Yeah.
Being accountable is not saying you're in the wrong. But being accountable means I acknowledge that I had a part to play in this recipe, and if I change my ingredients, then the main dish might come out different.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel people could really shed the light and just kind of, again, be kind to themselves and then be kinder to the people around them.
I watched the interview of Piers Morgan and Prince Abdulaziz, and he just couldn't resist asking him the whole LGBTQ. So I did a bit of research. In 1966, being gay in the UK was illegal.
Yep.
Now that it's legal in the UK, because you guys decided that it's okay for people to be gay.
You guys me. I'm not you guys.
You want to inflict that on us and demand that we be okay to it. I reject that. I say that you are being insensitive to my culture and my beliefs. How dare you?
Yes.
But you see the whole holier than thou position that because now you are okay, well, are gay fans going to be allowed to? Since when did you start the world?
Yeah.
And Qatar got a lot of stick during the World Cup. You know, are gay fans going to be allowed? Are you going to be allowed to drink? Respect the local laws and culture. And you know what? God gave Qatar the best World Cup final ever. And how much did it piss off everyone that never wanted the World Cup to be there?
I actually went to that World Cup and I was
Can
so impressed
gays
with
go?
it.
You went, huh?
I went. I was so impressed. Obviously. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was also something about someone saying, oh, like, well, you know, it's not fair for the football fans. They can't drink in the stadium. And I think shockingly, I may be wrong because it's quite shocking to think about it, but I think it was actually the French that came out and said, well, we don't have alcohol in our stadiums anyway, so what difference would it make?
Yeah.
But then again, it goes back to the whole copy-paste mentality.
Yeah.
So now this isn't just on a society level. It's like it's a global level. So because one society has decided that this is what they want to do and what they want to implement, or where they're at in their journey, they want to come and implement it onto us. But again, what can we learn from this? We can learn that it's just a repeat of behavior.
Yeah.
And we might be doing it in our life somewhere as well. So let me figure out what I'm doing it and stop that cycle. And the only thing I can really do as well is be accountable for myself and also be a good example. You know, if someone wants to steer the conversation into something that they feel like, oh, I'm going to get you on this one, you guys haven't got anything to say on it, I'd be like, oh, hold on a second, hold your thought. You know, you can have that thought, but let me show you everything else.
And for the first time, there was no hooliganism in a World Cup. The English fans behaved. I wonder why, because they weren't drinking on the grounds. Now, domestic leagues, Premier League, French League, Spanish League, they do offer drinks, but in the biggest league in Europe, which is the UEFA Champions League, there's no alcohol on premise. So, excuse me if there's going to be a World Cup where there's no alcohol. And it was actually great. It was more of a family outing.
Yes, definitely.
So come to think of it, that's exactly how I want the Saudi 2034 World Cup to roll out. I don't want us to bend over backwards for them. No, this is our local laws and customs, and we won the World Cup fair and square. Whether someone didn't bid against us or not has nothing to do with us. And it worked really well in Qatar. I didn't go, but a lot of my friends went. I had my twins were being born that week. I think they were born the day after we beat Argentina 2-1. Any chance I get to plug that in?
I mean, must be the reason why as well.
What a day that was, huh?
That was insane. That was actually insane.
NLP.
Neuro-linguistic programming.
What on earth is that?
Neuro-linguistic programming is probably best explained with a picture, but I'll try and explain it the best I can. It's how you receive outside information, so from your senses, and then we filter them through our life experiences, our insecurities, our ego, our environment, and then we output something. So say, for example, you can say to me, "Oh, your blazer's big," and I will hear it, "Oh my God, I've lost too much weight, so he's saying it looks really baggy on me." But that's not what you said. So, but what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding, kind of like intent and impact really, is something different. And then I'm making a feeling or a decision based on what I thought you meant instead of what you actually said.
Mm-hmm.
So neurolinguistic programming is kind of learning to clear those filters or unblock them so you can kind of receive and output information how it's meant to be.
It has something to do with reframing.
Reframing, yes, but that's more of like the steps that you would kind of take to kind of reframe or reword something into your head. But if you kind of just like on a basic level, just think of it: input, filters, output.
How have you applied it into your life?
Oof.
Everything?
I try to.
Well, in the fitness journey, let's talk about that.
Okay. In the fitness journey, I would say...
By the way, do you want some water?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh. Way more comfortable than the corporate chairs.
How have I used it in my training? I would say, again, what we touched based on the beginning of the conversation of like, having negative emotions and learning how to output them and kind of using them as an energy source or steam to keep you going, but using it for a greater good. So if I'm angry about a situation, I'm going to be angry about it. I'm going to try and release that emotion, but I can go by either screaming or, offloading onto somebody else or being snappy with them, or I can go and I can train. I can let it out. I can really think about what happened and understand that the person saying that negative or mean thing to me is probably exposing themselves more than they are even remotely trying to say something about me. Just really not taking things too personally and just kind of, again, falling back on the underlying feeling of everything's going to be okay. Everything is happening for me, not to me. So even these negative comments that I'm getting, it's not something for me to stop and worry about. Or, if I want to get a good session in and I don't feel focused or my mind is all over the place, I kind of try and think forward about, think how I'm going to feel after this. I'm not going to let, me being in a bad mood or getting bad news kind of just like block me from what I ultimately want to achieve. So let me just kind of, again, channel this into something good and kind of output that way.
How do you resist the temptation of reacting when maybe a non-reaction is what is needed?
It's taken me a long time to learn to respond instead of react.
It's not easy.
No. And sometimes you just want to punch people. I don't know if I can even say that, but honestly, it's true. Sometimes you're just like, I don't want to be the bigger person anymore. I'm tired of being the bigger person. It is taxing. It is draining. But trust me, the second I dip into being like not the bigger person, that second will stay on my conscience forever. It burns me so I think just forcing myself to slow down. And I always question the intention. So I will always, first of all, ask myself, has someone done this thing that's upset me with the intention of I'm going to do this to upset her? Or is me getting upset a side effect of a different decision that they've made? If I'm a side effect, then it's not okay, but it makes it more digestible. And then I can kind of be less emotional about it and be like, hey, by the way, when you did this, I felt da-da-da-da, or this happened, da-da-da-da. Did you mean that? Getting the clarification. Because if you did mean it, I will react then. But, if you didn't mean it, let me just communicate with you and say to you, like, this is how it felt. This is how it came across. You probably didn't mean to, but just for future reference, please keep this in mind, kind of thing.
You don't have a temper.
Oh, I have a temper.
You do?
Yeah. This is the thing. If I didn't train, If I didn't train, I probably wouldn't fit through that door, but then I'd try and break it. Yeah. And I was an angry child.
You were?
I was a very angry child. I was very upset. I was very hurt. I was very confused. I don't understand why this is happening to me. What have I done? What is my part in this? Why is this my fault? Why is this my life? And it wasn't until I started doing all of this rebranding in my head and trying to be able to digest what's happened and why this has happened. Why didn't I see my mum for 11 years? Why didn't I have contact with my sisters for 11 years? Why didn't I have both parents show up to school? Or, why was my dad so angry? Or why, all of these questions.
It was 11 years, no contact?
No.
Whoa. I didn't know that. I thought you were going back and forth.
No contact.
With mom as well?
Yeah.
Could you care to chime in on it? Would you rather not?
I think I would best say it was probably just a very messy divorce. And I think the dual culture, dual heritage finally caught up to my parents' relationship. And unfortunately, us as the children, we were the crossfire. And they did the best that they could with the information that they had and the circumstances they were in. And once I accepted that, I could let go of the anger. Once I understood that, and, it wasn't personal. They didn't do it to me because they were trying to be, neglectful or mean or cold. And, my dad wasn't angry at me because of something that I'd done. He had anger inside him, and he didn't have the same tools or exposure to knowledge that we do today to kind of address those things. And it's not okay, but it's okay. There's nothing that we can do about it. So I think my reacting and my responding changed when I learned to calm my thoughts and to slow down and think about things instead of just taking things so personally.
Did you resent them?
Oh, I missed them.
Together?
I missed what I thought my parents should be. You have a comparison by what you see on TV or what you see other kids experience. And I kind of felt a little bit hard done by, I'd gotten the short stick. That's not fair. I don't know why this is happening, but okay, I'll make a joke about it and just go on kind of thing. I don't know. I wouldn't say resent. I think I was more disappointed in them. Yeah.
It definitely affected you, huh?
Yeah.
You were 10?
10 to 21, I would say I didn't see my mom and my sisters. I probably maybe every now and then managed to contact them over phone, once a year, something. Yeah.
Has that changed the relationship that you have with them today, or today it's all good?
No, today we have a great relationship. Alhamdulillah. But there's a cultural difference.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's I think my sisters think that I'm really precious and really bougie. I'm just in comparison to most people in this society, I'm really not. I'm actually quite, I would say tough and durable. Not that people aren't, I'm just saying. But yeah, I think if I could change anything, that's what I would change. I would have had more memories together with them. But yeah,
why did you end up here and they ended up there? Was that just how the cookie broke?
That was how the cookie crumbled. Yep. I was the youngest. I was my dad's, my dad, I was daddy's girl. I was that. And I think it's just kind of how things played out. I don't think either of my parents expected it to go that way, but it did.
11 years, no contact with 3 sisters and mom is wild.
Yeah.
And a bit bizarre.
Yeah.
But all's well that ends well. You had to go through that. because God said you had to go through that.
Yeah.
And it molded you, I think, on some level.
Definitely. It
And
definitely
you had your dad all to yourself.
This is one way to look at it. See? I mean, I do think like I have really good memories of my dad, like, like standing on his feet and dancing and, like just doing really, I don't know, I was like boisterous stuff. Like, I think my dad wanted me to be a boy. Like, he would like, like, not that screwdriver, this screwdriver, not those pliers, the long nose ones. Like, what do you mean you don't know how to change a light bulb? You're going to call like an electrician to change your light bulb? That's not what my daughter does. Like, what do you do? Like, so it was very interesting. I was like his little protege.
Maybe he wanted his fourth kid to be a boy.
Oh, definitely. And I was like, surprise!
Was it traumatic on some level? Was that your closest feeling or relationship or experience with trauma?
Yes. I know that many people and many children like go through divorce. My story isn't any worse than anyone else's. It's not a competition of who was hurt more, like, but everyone's story is relative to themselves. And I think for me, just having that, I think because the split was 3-1, it wasn't like 2-2.
Yeah.
And it was like a new environment and I didn't speak the language. And, I kind of just felt like, I think I had this feeling of like, oh, I think I'm letting everyone down. And I had this feeling of, was I not good enough for my mum to take? Did she not want me?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Or like, did my dad not want me to be with them? Or like, I didn't understand. Like, I needed to understand. And my dad was very difficult to talk to sometimes. And that's why I think we bonded more over creating things like music and, just anything art and creative. And there was an underlining feeling of, I think it was my fault. I would go over like, I think I said this to my sister like the last time I saw her. Maybe I said this, or like, maybe I was a really bad child, or like, I don't like, so there was a lot of like, I don't know. And our heads, being as kind as they are, tend to fill them in with the worst possible, blanks. And it took me a very long time to get to a place where I'm comfortable talking about it. I understand it's not my fault. I understand it's not personal. My parents are human beings as well. My mum and my dad are not just my mum and my dad. They're also brothers and sisters and nephews and cousins and there are so many things. So I think once I realized I was also holding them to a very unrealistic standard, it just became easier to process and just move on from it.
It's healthy what you're doing now. Talking about it, I think it's healthy when you face things and not brush it under the carpet. Therapy, did you ever?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I love how normalized that's been today.
Yeah. I'll do every type of therapy.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, if I can try it, I will do it.
Do you rather the face-to-face ones, or can you do one like
both?
virtual?
I'm fine with both. But in the beginning, I struggled to find someone that understood like dual heritage and cross-culture stuff.
Yeah.
So I would have like a foreign therapist and it would be like, you should just tell your parents, you have boundaries. And I'm like, you want me to what? You want me to tell my Arab parent about a boundary? Have you seen the ship? Like, do you know about these things? But, and then, or it was like the other way around, like a super Arab therapist. And they'd be like, like everything was just like, Allah yahdihum. And I'm like, no, that's not what I want. Allah yahdihum, yes. But I need some type of closure here. So I think that was interesting. But I'm a big advocate for therapy. I love it. I think it's great. For me, it's like a lock. There's a combination of words. You're not telling me anything new. You're just telling me a new combination of words that have never clicked with me before. And when the combination that you're saying is landing with me, and it helps me rephrase, reframe, rebrand my feelings and my emotions into better, more productive outputs. And that is probably exactly why I started THYGA.
Mm-hmm.
So THYGA would be like a community or a movement that we're starting that is kind of focused on the importance of physical health and movement and its effects on mental health and how to create productive society members. So everything that we're learning through experience, through day-to-day challenges, and with the technology and all the knowledge that we have exposure to now, we want to put this all together in one place, in one society for people who share like-minded thinking, and just make it for kind of like a community. We're also going to have products and events and everything, but the main thought is like it's a movement, it's a community for people who have these kind of thoughts and like-minded thought processes and who want to evolve and develop. This is where you do it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like a blueprint almost.
Yeah.
Books, podcasts outside of the Mo Show, or mentors. Who are you?
The Mo Show. So subscribe.
Shameless.
Hey guys.
Who are you listening to, or who are you speaking to? I threw mentors in there at the end.
Okay. So
what are your touch points with books, podcasts, and mentors?
Different people for different things. I like Joe Dispenza. I like the way he thinks.
Very popular.
Yes, I like Becoming Supernatural. His book was amazing. I like Gary Brecker, especially from a health standpoint. I like Tony Robbins. I like Gary Vee. I like the aggressiveness of Gary Vee. Yeah, he's very raw. He's very there. Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
Is that something that's needed more? Are we too soft, do you think, the current generation?
I think we dance around things a lot.
Yeah.
I think we're very polite. And I think sometimes you need to rip the Band-Aid off. And I think you need to just say it. If it stings a little bit.
Let it.
Yeah.
Gary Vee said there are too many 8th place medals.
Yeah. So I say stop collecting sixes. I say this to my friends all the time. Stop collecting sixes. Things that, are good or just good enough, but not really what you want. So stop collecting sixes and everything.
Lose, taste defeat.
Yeah.
Taste that blood in your mouth.
Find the slingshot at rock bottom, because that's where it is. You're only going to find it at rock bottom.
Yeah.
And the only way to get there is to genuinely sit yourself down and be accountable. But, just ask yourself, well, what am I doing? What steps am I taking?
We do dance around the subject too much as opposed to facing it head on.
Yeah. We have a lot of, معلش, هو كده, that's no.
It's crippling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
هو كده, or he's like that because you're making excuses and you're enabling.
Yeah.
But, that's a whole new subject to talk about. Are we ready for that conversation of, yes, respect your parents. Yes, treat women with the best absolute way you can as well, like give them the best absolute treatment that you can give them. But again, there is emotional manipulation, there is emotional blackmail, there is even financial abuse, there is a lot of things that we need to talk about that even Islamically they're not correct, but they happen, and we kind of just brush it under the rug. But those things are detrimental to the people that we are raising in this society. And we spend so much focus on, raising kids and raising babies that you don't realize that this kid or baby that you're raising is only going to be a child for, 18 years max? He's going to be an adult for, let's say at least a good 50, 60 years. But you're keeping them well equipped in the baby phase, but you're not giving them the tools that they need to be able to succeed in their life. You may think that you're doing your son a favor by saying, معلش هو كذا لا تقولوا, it's just how he is. He's going through something hard. But maybe you need to rip that Band-Aid off and give your son some tough love and let him feel the real world and let him stumble a little bit and, take that hit, get that character building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about the UK. When people go from here to the UK, there is a lot of independence that comes with that. I experienced it. I was cradled here. I went there. I was doing laundry.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah.
Independent. One of the many things besides but laundry was the first thing that came to mind. My issue is with parents who are too scared to remove the guardrails. And they treat a 6-year-old as they do a 16-year-old. You are crippling him for life.
Yes.
Or her. So a lot of it is on the parents as well.
And also always saying my son does no wrong, or my child does no wrong.
I hate that.
You can't say that.
Can't.
you're setting your child up for failure. Your child needs to go into a workforce. They need to learn how to, deal with other people from other cultures, from different societies, people dealing with their own hurts and their own egos and their own perspectives as well of things.
Yeah.
And we're not doing people any favors by keeping them bubble wrapped. But then there is also a happy medium. So I think about things like on metrics or like a pendulum swing, and I feel like, when we're young and they're like, don't stay up late and and then the second you can stay up late, like you ruin your sleep pattern.
Yeah.
You're up, And now I've gotten older and I'm like, wow, going to sleep early doesn't seem like a punishment anymore. Like I actually want to sleep early,
Everything. How many hours do you try to clock per night?
Oh, I'm a sleeper. I like my 8 hours.
Nice.
Yeah, I like my 8 hours.
I think I got 9 for the first time in a year last night. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's weird because in the last 6 months I've been getting 6 and 7 and I want more and I can't get it.
Yeah.
Sleep is everything.
Okay. So I'm going to start sending you like reels and memes about sleep quality now,
Yeah,
right?
please do. Please do. Actually, I do more listening to books than reading, but Why We Sleep,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. Just the art of REM and, the circadian rhythm, sleeping
Nice.
at the same time.
Nice.
And that's something that actually, I don't have it on me now, but with Whoop, it tells you when you need to go to bed, which is crucial.
Do breathing techniques?
Only when I get my skipped heartbeats.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. The ectopics. I've been doing very well for the past 4 months. Today they came back a little bit. So I was doing breathing techniques, 5 seconds in, 5 hold, 5 out.
Mm-mm.
And I was good for the next 2 hours. And then it came back. Something happens when I maybe have 1 or 2 extra coffees or, 1 or 2 extra chocolates. Body flares up. And I get this shit that just...
Your dashboard, your body is communicating with you.
It is.
Your body is literally saying to you, hey, this is what I need. You kind of know this isn't good for me, but in case I didn't make it clear, I'm going to like amp it up a little bit. Like, please pay attention to me. And, if you just tune in and dial into what your body is saying to you, give it what it needs.
Yeah. Listen to your body. I think that's a overarching message of this segment.
And stay in tune with your body. Stay in tune with it. It's really something for our benefit. We get a nice car, we take care of it. There are things that we do daily. There are things that we do weekly. We might, top up the water every once in a while. We might put petrol in it once a week. We might service it once a year, but we have a structure, a routine that we do to take care of this vehicle. That, by the way, we can replace. But the vehicle that we're gifted with, that's already in itself a miracle that we're actually inside the bodies that we are.
Yeah.
We neglect them, we abandon them, we abuse them, we're so mean to them, and then we expect them to last. It's not logical.
You got to do something that your future self would thank you for.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel 60 at 50.
No,
you don't want to feel 50
don't.
at 40.
Not at all. And especially in my case as well, like I'm 36 now. I intend on getting married and having kids and doing all of these things. Inshallah, if God has that as my plan, then inshallah I want to do it. But I'm not going to be the youngest of moms, so I have to take care of myself. And I'm not the only one in my generation or in my peer group that feels this way as well. I probably have more unmarried friends than I do married friends from different cultures, UK, Saudi, everywhere. But with the new society and environment we live in, people have different ways of life, and now people aren't doing the whole go to uni, get married, they're taking a little bit longer. They're finding their careers, they're finding their purposes, they're healing their traumas, they're fixing their wounds, they're doing all of this stuff, and then they're looking at marriage. So we have an entire generation, or a whole chunk of a generation doing something later than we would, but still running our bodies down and abusing them more than we would before. So we're cutting our expectancy from both ends. So if you want to, do more, then do more for yourself as well. And just make sure you're putting in the time and the effort to take care of your body.
Amen.
Yeah.
So true. Great words of wisdom. Introverted or extroverted? Or somewhere in the middle?
Somewhere in the middle. I think it was an ambivert?
Yeah, ambivert.
Yeah, which means I can be around crowds. I'm fine. But it does take me courage. Like I have to really I have to know, okay, Wednesday, 6 o'clock, I'm going to be around a lot of people. If I'm going into an event, I'm like, okay, cool. It's always Hana mode now. Okay, you're not like, it's okay. They know you, it's always Hana. Like, it's all right, kind of thing. But I get recharged by being just around like those few certain people in my core group. Yeah.
Are you the same person on camera as you are off camera?
No.
You're different.
Yeah.
Who are you now?
I wouldn't say I'm different. I would say I'm a part of. So it's always Hana is a very, very small part of Hana.
Ah.
So it's not that I'm different. It's that I'm just exposing more or choosing to expose less. So I think most people have like a really, like they've really got opinions about me. I think just being a fitfluencer or, you know, just being in the fitness industry or being on social media. Yeah. And they expect me to be a certain way. And then you're like, oh, you're also mixed. And I'm like, oh, da, da. But then they meet me and I'm like, you know, I'll like, oh, like, oh, دقيقة بس أروح أصلي or something like that. And they're like, huh? You know, or just, they expect me to be quite rude and stuck up. But then I'm the first person to like walk into a wall or like spill something all over myself. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, like I'm quiet because I'm scared of embarrassing myself. I'm not quiet because of anything else. Because once I open, I've got verbal diarrhea and I can't stop. I'm like, did I say that? Oh my God, did I say that? Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh my God. Like, yeah.
You don't take yourself too seriously.
What's the point?
No point.
What's the point? I take my reputation seriously. I have a thing about reputation.
Yeah.
But then I'm also, I don't know, it's like I do what I can and then the rest is not really my problem. I was having this discussion with like one of the people that I work with today and I was like, someone's opinion of me really isn't my business.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't care what he thinks of me. I don't care what they think of me. I don't care what their opinion is of me. I care if I've done something and I've hurt them and upset them and I've contributed to that, then I care. But if someone's just decided that they don't like me because of, you know, who I am or what I do or how I look and it's not at all targeted at them, then it's kind of a you problem.
Absolutely. What people say behind your back or say about you or is none of your business.
Yeah.
And if someone has I was going to say something else. If someone has the courage to say it to your face, then great.
Yeah.
You know, then you can do what you want with that.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say that I have that one thing, like maybe I should learn to tone it down a bit, but what I say about you, I will say to you. And sometimes that gets me in a lot of trouble. Like, Hannah, you shouldn't say that. And I'm like, but I would say that about them. So why wouldn't I say it to them?
Yeah.
Like, if anything, I should say it to them so they can do something about it. Or like
yeah.
I'm making them aware. Or they can be like, oh no, that's wrong. And I'll be like, okay, cool.
Be of service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm helping them.
Absolutely. Are you holding on to anything that's holding you back?
Fear of commitment. I would say fear of commitment. I don't know. I don't know if I am in the right place to be able to take the next step in my life. I would want to. I really want to be that person that's just like, yay, leap of faith, just jump. But I'm constantly running, like analyzing and calculations and, you know, just making very, you know, zoomed in microscopic observations that sometimes they don't work to my advantage. So I just say I would rather operate from a place of love than operate from a place of fear. And sometimes I resort to operating from a place of fear and I feel very disappointed in myself for that.
It took me right into my next question, which is the life that you live today the result of your fears or your choices?
Both.
Fears and choices.
It's a beautiful combination of both. Because without fear as well, sometimes fear also works as a protection. So fear is not ultimately a bad thing. So like we were saying in the beginning of our conversation, some people went into religion through fear and they maintained it. And they established a healthy relationship and the right amount of fear versus respect versus love. But some people learn in a different way. I wasn't one of those people. And fear ultimately, in my case, cripples my decision making. So I need to operate from a place of love, and I need to operate from a place of confidence as well. And I feel if I could change or do anything differently, it would just be to not operate from fear.
Did you ever wonder what life would look like if you haven't gone for it?
It was never an option. It never crossed my mind.
To not go for it?
No.
You always wanted to go for it?
But why not? I would regret more not doing it than doing it. So even if I do it and I absolutely fail, at least I can be like, oh, okay, I did it, it didn't work. But if I never do it, I'm literally going to spend my whole life wondering what would have happened if I did do it. So my only option is just to go full steam ahead. And I'm like that with anything that's not emotional. When it's an emotional decision, everything is backwards.
Yeah.
I don't have that leap of faith. I don't have that confidence or that, operating from a place of love. But with work, with anything that's not an essential and necessity to my being, I'm big risk, big reward. Yeah.
Do you have everything you prayed for? And there's two parts to this question, because you say that you're not satisfied and you're always looking to get more.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the 10-year-old Hana, looking at the 36-year-old Hana. And I think the 10-year-old Hana says to the 36, you got it all.
Yeah.
But the 36-year-old Hana doesn't quite feel that she does.
Respectfully, I would like to word replace one word. And you said the 36-year-old Hana doesn't get what she wants. She doesn't have what she wants. The 36-year-old Hana is not giving what she wants. So I'm at a place in my life where I want to give. I don't feel good unless I'm giving. And that is what I try to do through my work. I got the knowledge. I got the understanding of how I can have CPTSD and go to the gym and train and build up transferable skills and put that into another aspect of my life and learn to train myself in that, because I didn't have that kind of life training and blah, 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 blah. And now I'm like, okay, what can I do with this? So what good is this information for me if I know that other people need it? How do I package and distribute this to people in digestible bites that are not intimidating? So I'm at a place where I have enough and I've gotten enough, but I'm not in a place where I've given enough.
That's so refreshing. Because people are not happy because they're not getting what they wanted. You're not happy because you're not giving enough of what you want to give.
Yeah.
This is not like some PR stunt. Like I can see it written all over your face. You genuinely mean it. That is really refreshing. Pardon the F-bomb, we'll beep it out. Wow, that's really some of the most, that is just, you are a good human being. Anyone ever tell you that you look like someone?
Yeah.
It's like I'm speaking to her. Who did you get?
I got Angela Valdez from Power.
No, the one I had in mind.
Who?
Rosie.
O'Donnell?
Huntington Whiteley.
I will take that. I love Jason Statham. You'd best cut that out of the interview.
Do you not see it? I don't know if this angle, but subhanallah, it's Rosie.
I love Rosie. I think she's stunning.
She's such a she's such a good person. You can tell that.
She was here in Saudi.
Yes, she was with Jason. Yeah.
She came to Saudi. Rosie has been to Saudi.
I think that's your lookalike. She's also British. How funny.
I say, I'll take it. I don't mind. I'm really not mad at that. She is stunning.
She is.
I'll take that.
She is. He did well, Jason. Worst advice you've ever gotten?
Worst advice I've ever gotten? That I need to be more like somebody else. Yeah.
How toxic.
Yeah. I was told I need to be more like somebody else in order for me to succeed. And if I wasn't like them, that I wouldn't succeed. And this was actually a conversation about my Instagram profile and somebody who wanted to manage me at the time where I was still living in England, and they sent me like this girl's page that was like full of bikini photos, and I was like, come on. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, if you want to post a bikini photo, go ahead. I'm not going to do that. That's just not for me. Each to their own. And
I love the Saudi jersey.
I'm so rich.
I love it.
I was just like, that's kind of what it is. And I just thought, you know what? Like, I'm not doing it. So I think the worst advice was telling someone to not be themselves. Yeah.
Glad you didn't listen to their suggestion.
Me too.
Anything missing?
Anything missing?
Besides not giving enough, anything else missing in your life today? It's my last question. And then you're going to ask me questions. No, I'm kidding. What's missing?
What's missing?
Marriage?
Yeah, I think I can do that.
You ready for it?
I always say God will send me the right man when I'm the right woman. And I feel like I've been doing enough work on myself to be the right woman. So I'm excited to see what this Hana is going to receive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like just, excitement. I do want kids. I want loads of kids. I mean, I need to start quickly, but I do need loads I want loads of kids.
Inshallah, you get that. There's a very calming aura about you. You speak very well as well. MashaAllah, you don't appear camera shy. You convey your message in a way that is very articulate. You're very calm. You have a soothing voice. And I love what you stand for, because I think there is a lack of education on what we need to do to live a healthy life, and anything I can do or anything that this podcast can do that can help people live a healthier life, I'll always be the first person in line to have that person come on and talk about it. So thank you for what I think was 2 hours. I'm guessing. I don't know, but I loved every
that went quickly though.
minute of this.
Thank you so much.
2 hours and 10 minutes.
2:10.
Yes. Thanks, Hana.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
All the best. And maybe one day I can get into one of your gym classes.
Oh, listen.
And
THYGA
then I'll regret it.
When the THYGA event's happening, you need to be there.
Inshallah.
So inshallah.
I will.
Thank you
so
me.
much. You're the best.